So this is actually a 1,500 piece puzzle and not just a 1,000 piece puzzle. You can see I've got a helper for the beginning from Clementoni, which is a brand that I really like. All standard size pieces. Thank goodness. I would not do a 1,500 cut. Uh, just absolutely no. That sounds miserable. Hard no on that. But I thought this was going to take me a lot longer than it actually ended up taking me. And, I think the reason is that as you'll see as I build the image, there were some pretty distinct colors. So what I'm trying to do for this puzzle is actually just not flip everything because I have some table size constraints and I know I'm going to get annoyed. So instead what I'm doing is I'm pulling edges as I see them. And then I'm going to start working on these sort of distinctive houses. So there's a line of houses on the left-hand side of the puzzle, red, yellow, and other sort of bright colors. And because they're bright colors, they're actually fairly easy to pull, even without having flipped all the pieces. Again, I know this is a speed puzzling no-no, but I'm not really doing this one for time. I actually rarely do 1,000 pieces for time. I usually use 1,000 piece puzzles for relaxation and brainstorming, for work things, and yes, not speed runs. I find them too exhausting for speed runs. I like 500s because I can do a 500 in usually under an hour, and so it's like a nice, get hyped up, blaze through it, be done, as opposed to 1,000, which there are some thousands that even if I am really focusing, they're just going to be 5-6 hour puzzles, and that's no fun. As you see, I've built a lot of this red house already. It's really coming together. And you can see that there are some piles of somewhat sorted pieces as well towards the top. I'm kind of opportunistically sorting as I find things. So now that I've gotten these sort of red pieces more built in, I'm also doing some border. I find border pieces really easy to spot in a pile, even if it hasn't been flipped, especially if it hasn't been flipped, actually. And so my thought was, okay, pull a lot of the border pieces. It puts more into the puzzle and out of this pile. I'm also opportunistically building as I see sort of colory chunks, as that's what's happening with this water down on the right-hand side, is I just started to see a lot of that particular pattern as I was kind of going through the pile, so grabbed and built them. Again, strategy, if I was doing this for time, would be to flip all of those pieces and then not do a full sort, but do at least some of a sort. I do think that I need to try sorting a little bit more, not necessarily on 500s, definitely on thousands. I have now started to notice at competition, so my world ranking has slipped because the world has gotten faster. And I have started to notice that the people around me all do much more sorting than I do at the beginning. I sort of flip and start building. And I noticed everyone I was seated around for the last few individual competitions sorted more at the beginning. So I would start assembling faster. And then somewhere, usually around the 35 or 40-minute mark, they would overtake me and would finish before I did. And so I've started to think that I might need to kind of tweak my strategy, do some testing on sorting. My challenge is I really hate it. I hate sorting. I like building. I actually had a pairs partner at Worlds who we worked perfectly together. She loved sorting and I hate it. And so we really clicked very well for that. Yeah, me not so much. So here we are. So back on this puzzle. So I have now managed to actually get the border built out. I've gotten some of this mountain going, and I'm moving on to this yellow house. And so there's a little bit of opportunistic stuff going on. So I'd seen a lot of the water and pulled it already, so built some of that, building out this mountain. The nice thing about building out the mountain is it's enabling me to attach the mountain in. The other thing is I'm able to work on both sides of my table. So in this particular video, I have a cat. My cat was really into it today. In this particular video, I hadn't yet had to push my table up against the wall. I now, for space reasons in my dining room, have my puzzle table fully against the wall. means I can fit the Peloton in my dining room also means that it's a much harder to work from the top of the puzzle, which is a real pain for some. And so the being able to sort of work from the top and build out the sky at the top from that side was really helpful. So I'm choosing now to just fight through the sky. I know the sky is going to be bad. I know I'm probably going to have to shape sort it. I'm starting to do a little opportunistic shape sorting at the top. But I decided at this point, let's do it now because I'm going to have to do it at some point. The light is good. Um, and what's left beyond that is the sort of strip in between the boats and the houses, which I know is going to be busier, and a little bit of mountain, which I know is just going to kind of be dark pieces. Um, I probably could have done those dark pieces before saying, hey, I'm going to fight through the sky. But I think my view was, I'm going to have to fight through the sky at some point. There is a little bit of a gradient. It wasn't as bad as I expected, to be honest. It wasn't great, but it wasn't as bad as it could have been. And so now I'm finding the sort of line between the sky and some of the busier bits below it. So building that out and just finishing up the rest of that sky up there. A little bit of shape sorting going on. There's a lot of white pieces. I thought this puzzle was going to be much worse than it was for being 1,500 pieces. I think actually because it had these sort of clear color chunks. There's my friend. Um, these clear color chunks, it actually worked more like I would say 1,000 piece. I didn't really notice that it was 1,500 once I started going. I mean, definitely huge, right? Like I'm having to work from the top of the table, but it was not bad. Um, I yeah, I expected it to be much more of a commitment and much slower just given the size. So I've gotten the sky basically done now. And so now I'm moving on to filling out. I'm not really seeing a ton of patterns anymore because we're entering the sort of busier section. Short break to put the cat outside. So now this could be a good time, given that I'm dealing with some busy pieces, to just shape sort. Um, the cat has reemerged. Her name is Madison. She loves puzzling, hence the channel name. Um, but I chose not to shape sort. I think also, I wasn't frustrated enough to shape sort, and I had to do a little bit of shape sorting already for those clouds. And here we are, rounding in towards the end. There we go.